episode of Waka so far. And today I have Izzy. I'm going to let Izzy briefly introduce himself, but I must confess that me and Izzy have only met for once in a period of time. Like, I think it was, how long was camp for that time? 3 days, four
It was
days?
like 3 weeks.
Oh, it was 3 weeks. Can you see how long it was? I don't
No. I
remember.
think it was maybe not 3 weeks, maybe not 3 weeks, maybe like a week.
It was a week.
So it
It was
was
a week.
long, sure.
It was a church camp. And
Yeah.
and I met Izzy through my friend Uche, and me and Izzy throughout camp. I think all me, you, Uche, Chemela were all together, and then we even
Yeah.
performed. Do you remember that we performed a rap song on
Bro,
stage?
I remember like it was yesterday, man. How
And
can you even come about just going and
I don't know,
deciding to
you
just
guys
rap
could
with?
rap. Izzy can rap. I can't rap. So I remember that time I was like the DJ Khaled slash Don Jazzy of the rap crew in the church
Yeah.
event because I couldn't rap, so I was just like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I met Izzy, and honestly, we haven't kept in touch that much, but I've been seeing Izzy's work. Izzy's work is beautiful, and we'll talk about it. But Izzy, please, could you just
Okay.
introduce yourself, man?
Okay, sure, man. Regular guy is a mechanical engineering background. I quickly figured out that wasn't for me. I chose to go into entertainment where I worked as a producer for a while. I was producing TV shows
Mm.
that got boring quickly. I was able to produce 2 TV shows though during my NYSC. And like you said, music came back in, and I tried to give that a go again. Quickly, so it was very expensive. Ugh. So I remember going to God and just praying, like, yeah, so what's next? What should I do with the rest of my life? Like, I've tried all these things and I feel like it's a waste. And I remember saying, him talking to me like, no, it's not a waste. It will all make sense at the end. And I got inspired to go back to what I loved to do as a child, which is create art, because that gave me the most joy. That's what I've been doing ever since. Right now, I focus on the music industry. Since I guess since I can't make music, I
Yeah.
might as well design for musicians. So I make album covers. I started with a freelance model, and that's transitioning into more of an agency model where we just handle the whole design deliverables for record labels, from album covers to lyric videos, merchandise, whatever they want. And on the side, I have a clothing brand called Sources God, because why not?
Uh,
Right? Why not? Why not have a clothing brand? Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and no, go on, man. I shouldn't go on.
No, you can feel free to,
No, no, no.
to
And
tell me.
yeah, you've literally run through it, and I love the fact that you said you asked God like, "Yo, is this stuff waste?" And this was my last question, and I'm going to make it my first question. Um,
Uh-huh.
your relationship with God and
Yeah.
the brand source is God. How
Yeah.
did that come about? Like my understanding from an outsider, let me tell you, and please correct me if I'm complete. It's like
Yeah.
these ideas come from the Most High. That's how I saw it. Like when I was looking at the brand, like the teas, the praying, I
Yeah.
was like, this idea comes
Yeah.
from up,
God. Yeah.
and everything I am is God. Well, I just wanted to understand how it started and your relationship with God in that process, man.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I wanted people to feel that immediately they saw the name of the brand, like Sources God. It doesn't need too much explanation. It's if you have a well that you depend on for water and keep going to that water to that well to scoop water, it could run dry. It could
Yeah.
run dry. But as Christians, we have to believe that our God is infinite, He's abundant. We can keep going to Him, and He's going to keep supplying. He's going to keep supplying as far as it falls in line with His will for our life. He'll keep giving it to us. And so, that's one of the things that inspired me to come up with that name, as well as, again, the idea of abundant. I feel we live in a world that is too, let me just have my own, let me just have my own. I'm not sure whether it's going to be enough for myself or my family. I don't want to share with my brother.
Yeah.
I think that's a bad mindset, and that leads to arguments among people. That leads to wars, on a grand scale. Um, But yeah, I like to see a world where we all have that abundance mindset, and it's enough to go around. It's enough to go around. So, that inspired me to come up with that name.
No, it's
And that's
beautiful.
what I'm trying to represent with a brand. Yeah, go ahead.
It's truly beautiful. Like I went to the
Thank you,
page,
man.
I went to the website. It is
Yeah,
really beautiful. And the teas are lovely.
thank
So
you.
well done. And I love that mindset of there's enough to go around because literally
Hmm.
God has the
Hmm.
whole world in his hands. And sometimes I catch myself when I'm like, man, just and then you
Go.
realize that man, you can't do it by yourself, if you get what I
Oh
mean.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You can't really do it by yourself.
Yeah.
So bro, it's really inspiring that you're showcasing your love for God,
Yeah.
also with your lifestyle, but also with your product and with your merch. And
Thank
so
you,
that when
man.
people come in contact with you, they see God. So it's really, really, really dope.
Yeah,
Before
he
we go,
has arrested me.
did you watch Fighting Temptation? When you just did that, like, have you watched Fighting
Oh
Temptation?
no, I haven't. What's that?
Cuba Gooding Jr. and Beyonce is an old film, but there was a
Okay.
choir and they got some guys from prison to perform, like sing in the choir because they had good voices. And then,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they don't. It's not about. It's a nice Christian movie as well. Fighting Temptation,
Okay, okay.
really, really dope. And your love for arts is it? I think when I
Yeah,
first met you in camp, and I'm
yeah.
really trying to remember what year this was because this was like 2000 and
Oh, what was this? Was it before I went to secondary school? I can't remember. Was I in
I'll say
secondary?
five,
Yeah,
I'll say
I was in
2005,
secondary.
2006,
Yeah,
2005, something
it
around
was
there,
it was
2005,
early.
2006. First time I met you, I
Yeah,
already knew that, man, you loved art. Like you could draw, like you could scribble something in
yeah.
camp. Like we'll just be chilling. And when we pick up, it was a church camp. Izzy will just
Yeah.
scribble something and you can tell from that guy's scribble, my scribble is a stick man. And your scribble was like, man, let me just bust this
a,
stuff real
a
quick.
scribble is a scribble as far as it communicates the story.
As
You
far as it
know,
can be fair enough.
as far as yeah,
Your
yeah,
scribble was dope. How did you fall in love with art making? Like apart from music,
yeah.
drawing, was it something that it was from school or was it how do you pick up that talent, start drawing? 'Cause
Man, that's a tough one. And I've been reflecting on that, because it's easy. The stories, at least I made up to myself, was that, I just fell in love with it for falling in love sake. I saw someone doing it. I think I could do that too. But, the more I think about it, the more um I start to understand why I started expressing myself like that in the first place. And that's because I had a childhood that was a bit too strict. I had my mom was lovely, but my dad was like the military guy. He was tough. If some of my friends know him, they won't be surprised. But I've been reflecting on that, and I think it's because of how he chose to raise us.
yeah,
He's a great guy. He's the best father anyone can have. But he knew what he wanted for his kids, and that was to protect us as much as he could,
yeah,
for the outside world. And even though it didn't come off as love at the
yeah,
time, I, I know right now, looking back, that that's all it was. But that made me also a bit closed off, and I had to hold back a lot of emotions. And I think art just was a way for me to bring out something,
yeah.
to say something, to articulate what was in my head. And yeah, that's how I started expressing myself in different art forms. Drawing, I'm not sure why I really gravitated towards drawing, but I just remember at around 3 year old, believe it or not, I was drawing dinosaurs. I was drawing in my mom's Bible. I was drawing in my mom's Bible. Yeah, but yeah, that's where I can remember getting used to. And like anything, when we try to start something new, especially now we're older, we tend to give up easily because we're not used to it. But thank God I started back then, and I was blind throughout my novice period, and that
Yeah,
helped me develop and fall in love with the craft. And I
yeah.
am where I am today.
Now and it's beautiful and yeah, your album covers. What
Oh
is the
yeah,
process like? Like when someone reaches out to you and say, "Easy man, please,
yeah.
I need help with like an album cover." Is it you have to listen to their music and say, okay, what do you want? Or is it like, what does the album represent? Like, what's the brief like? What's the brief like before you build that album cover? Because some of your album covers are very dimensional in the sense of it's like multiverse. Yes, you can see what's going on in the front, but there's some like if you pay attention to like the image at the back, something else is going on. So what's the
Thank
process
you.
like?
Yeah,
Like what's
thank
the
you.
brief like?
It's funny. I was having I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm in grad school right now. I'm in design school doing my master's. And I was having the same discussion with my professor, and it just boils down to okay. So let me take you back a bit. So when clients come to meet me, some of them come with an idea, and some of them are like, "Hey, I don't know what I want. Can you help me figure it out?" Even the ones that come to me with an idea, I'm still going to. It's just like going to a doctor and saying, "Hey, I think I have, I don't know, kidney failure." The doctor says, "Shut up. Let's examine you first."
Let's check you out first. Yeah.
Yeah, let's check you out first. Don't self-diagnose. So it's kind of the same process with the artist. And I try to understand them as a person and their audience. We have different genres. I first of all try to classify them to already know, okay, this is what people who listen to this kind of music are primed to expect to see, when looking at a visual. Then as soon as I have that figured out, I listen to the music to get inspired. And I look at songs, I look at any art form as storytelling, whether it's drawing, singing, whatever, movies as storytelling. So in a sense, a movie. So I'm always trying to capture, this song is interesting. What if it's a movie? I try to look at it like it's like a Steven Spielberg, and I try to pick out, okay, what if this is a movie? What would the peak moments be? So that could be the opening scene, that could be somewhere in the middle, or that could be the closing scene. Then I just draw inspiration from that and try to represent it on canvas to the best of my ability.
It's beautiful. Like, wait, let me get it open there because I was like something is always going on in the background. And then the beautiful, and if you follow, I'll share your page. Eze shows the process as well because he just doesn't show you the finished work. Like he shows you the process. Like you did this one that's international, and like it's a car, but it's also like
let me see. I can't. Could you move it this way?
Sorry, can you see properly?
Oh yeah. I see that one now. Yeah. Oh yeah. That was for Terry.
Yeah, Terry. It's beautiful. It's truly beautiful. It's like everything like, is truly, truly, truly beautiful. Like when I see it, I also go to the artist page, and then like it doesn't even know you see me to artists that maybe I haven't heard of, like because you tag them in, but it's truly, truly beautiful.
Thank you, man.
Like you said before the call started and before we started recording, like when we're catching up.
Yeah.
If you loved art so much, how did you get? How did you find yourself in like engineering? Like, or was it like? Is it like? You know how in Nigeria is either are you a business student or are you a science student? Is that how you spell it?
Oh, that's an interesting one. So funny story. Before I got into uni, okay, this was towards the end of secondary school, and it was pretty clear to my parents that he loves music. But he doesn't just love music; he loves creativity. Okay, so they tried to look for because I didn't know what I wanted to do. They tried to look for a course that I could at least try and express myself creatively too. And my dad called me and my brother one day and he sat us down. He was like, "Oh, you guys choose one. Do you want to be musicians or do you want to go to school?" I'm like, why can't we do both? But we ended up going the school route, and he discovered mechanical engineering for me, and because he could see things better. He was like, "You're creative. You love to take things apart. There's no toy we buy for you that ever lasts a few weeks. I want to see how things work." And I think that's what drives the business part of me too. I always want to go behind the hood and see how things work. So yeah, I was sold by his story that I should do mechanical engineering. However, I got in there and it wasn't it wasn't what I expected. The only part of my mechanical engineering degree I truly enjoyed was my final year when I got to build like a prosthetic foot for amputees. The rest of it, we're not really doing anything creative. We're not really designing like I would have loved. It was just theory, and so that wasn't for me. I just checked out pretty soon.
No, but
But
like
yeah,
your characteristics shows in your art as well. Like the whole idea of you building things and pulling it apart, which is something I really
yeah,
love about your album covers and your art, is that you show the process. You just don't show the finished
yeah.
one. You
Thank
show,
you.
okay. And you also do the visuals where you show us as you're drawing it sometimes. Like,
Yeah,
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 like
yeah.
the state of mind and the flow you're in. So I think, man, not no experience is wasted, but it's also like
No,
I
no,
also
no,
see
no.
that engineering part of it when you're showing us the art where you break it down and
It's
you're,
photo views.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you zoom in and you put in the clock in someone's artwork, zoom out, and it's just like
Yes, sir.
it's beautiful. And I know we this so let me go back in the order of questions I wanted to ask you.
Yeah,
What's
sure,
one
sure.
what's one scripture that you hold close to your heart? Like, what's one
Mm,
scripture that you're like, this is my go-to sometimes, like one of my top faves. What's one scripture that
um, I'll be honest. I don't think I have one, which is bad. I know that sounds bad.
not bad at all? Because when I asked this question, I also thought to myself, if someone asked me
Yeah.
the same question,
Yeah. Will I be?
what will I say? So I think you're being honest. But okay,
Yeah.
let's not even use scripture. What
Yeah. What?
quotes or what what do you how do I say, like, foundation you hold life on? Like, okay, something that you live by.
Yeah, sure. I can answer that one better. Um, I think one of the driving principles in my life has been everything around me has been made by people just like me.
Yeah.
Why can't I contribute to that?
Yeah.
So I've lived my life through that lens, knowing that this is like a video game. I can bring in my own input. I can impact people's life different ways, any way I choose, and I live dead closely by that. That's close to my heart. Anyway, I don't know.
Uh,
Does that make sense?
yeah, it does. It does. It does.
Yeah,
I was about to drift, but I'll say something. And yes,
yeah,
it does make sense because why not? Why not us? Why anything is possible? Like, I don't know that you
oh
watch.
yeah.
I don't know that you watch basketball.
And
But
once in a while,
there's this guy, Derrick Rose. I remember the year he
Eric.
became MVP, and he was like, "Why can't I be MVP? Like, why can't
Yeah,
it be me? Like, why can't I contribute to the game? Why can't my name be the one be?" So, brother,
yeah, yeah,
I'm big on that, and also the fact that I saw somewhere where someone said, "Why can't we all contribute?" Like, if someone else is doing it, it doesn't mean anything. But like, if you do it with all your heart,
yeah,
and everybody's playing the same drum, you make that
yeah,
buzz enough, and then it creates so much awareness for everyone in the. So it's that same thing about, as you said earlier on, that there's
yeah.
room for everyone. Like,
There is room.
if Eze is doing it, and I say, "Oh man, you inspire
Yeah.
me to do it," and I also do it as well. And why can't I contribute to the art game as well in my own form? And then
Your own form, your own unique way,
in your own unique way, not even competing with you. And then somebody
Yeah,
else is like, "Man, I like what these guys are doing." Like, Eze is using his art, his teas, his art, he's telling
yeah,
a story about God or his
yeah.
love for God. Ibanoa has a podcast that just lets people share their story, but also in all
Oh,
honor to God. At the end of the
yeah,
day, is the same thing. And last question,
yeah,
for creatives out there,
yeah.
I feel like this question, but for creatives out there, what will you say about putting out your art and pushing? Like, sometimes I feel like
Hmm.
pushing it sometimes is like, bro, like, is anybody seeing this work that we're putting out?
Yeah,
Is anybody
yeah,
really seeing this thing?
yeah.
But what will you like an encouragement like to anyone putting out their work and just dropping it?
I would say first of all, I mean, it's okay if you want this to just be a side hustle. You know, it's okay if you want to take it full time. It's okay if you just use it as a means to express yourself. But you have to understand you have a mandate as an artist, as a creative, as a human being, to be honest, you know, to get your voice out there because you don't know who it's going to inspire. I know it can be hard to to bring publish your work, you know, to just post it on because that's the same thing as publishing, just post it on social media. There's a lot of fear that comes with that, but you have to conquer that fear. You know, I remember I was back in secondary school. I was so scared of. I was writing a lot of songs, but I was so scared of coming on stage and performing. But regardless, I still pushed myself to come up there, and I thank God that I did that because it helped me conquer that fear. So right now, I'm almost shameless if you think about it. You know, it doesn't mean I'll do something stupid though.
Yeah, but it's like
But I'm not worried about what the next man is thinking. Like, because to be honest, they're not really thinking. They're just
really,
saying,
nobody's thinking
yeah,
it. Everybody,
yeah. Nobody's
it's
thinking
literally
it.
in your head. Like you outplay
Yeah, it's
yourself for
all.
doing it.
Oh my
You
God!
know, like,
Yes,
oh man,
yes. So I
that
would say just do it, man. You know the bad commercial. Just
just do it.
do it.
Literally, just do it.
Just do it because you never know where it take you. Like I'll have a confession. Like I've never considered myself to be like a spectacular artist. You know, I just know how to make sense of things, and I keep telling artists that I think are miles ahead of me and who are not really pushing. Like, come on, man. You way better. Just drop something. I remember the first work I got paid for, which is you know Resi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we created Easter cards for Splash and Scribble.
Oh, you did
That
that?
yeah. Oh, do you know the cards I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, because
Yeah,
Orezi is our sister. So Orezi,
yeah.
yeah, she. Well done, well done, well done. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I know we've already started wrapping up, but
No,
yeah,
no, brother, fire down, man. There's
yeah.
no.
That was when, and this is why I hold on to God so much because I told you when I looked back and saw that everything wasn't working, and I prayed to God, like, okay, what next do I do? He gave me the answer immediately. He just flashed a vision of my childhood painting, you know. So that day I was in Port Harcourt. I went to the mall, the one near Government House. I went to buy art materials. I told my mom, I told my dad, like, look, this is it. This is immediately. And to show you how powerful God is, um, that night my mom was speaking with her mom, Auntie Aji,
I do, yeah.
and she was like, oh, Rizzy's starting
Bless
getting
her.
this fast with scribble stuff, and she's looking for a designer. Well, oh, say less. She just started, you know, designing, and you know, that's how I got to know about it. And I thank God that went through. It was one of the best projects. I just enjoyed doing it because of what it meant to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh,
know, I guess what I'm trying to say is just start, man.
it's,
Just
it's
start.
it's beautiful. There's this friend I have, Tolua Lashe.
So, okay.
He had a podcast called Tea with Toes.
Yeah.
And now she speaks on TEDx. Like she had her podcast was very mindful. It was very
Yeah.
like a mindful podcast on
Okay.
wellness and well-being. And I remember when I first started, I was like, man, she really inspired me. Like I was watching her and I was like, man, I like what
Yeah.
she's doing. Like, cause she was
Yeah.
just showing the other side of like, you know how you see people on like online and you don't know their full story. She brought them out. I'm like, oh, how are you? How do you
Yeah.
go for this thing?
Yeah.
And funny enough, yesterday, or not yesterday, Wednesday, the first 2 days ago, I
Okay.
had the opportunity to speak on one of her programs to people because she was like, oh, I've seen like I said, oh, I need someone to talk on something. And I was like, oh, like I
Mm.
was scared to do it. I won't lie to you. I saw the ad
Yeah.
and I dropped my phone and I was like, what do I have to do? What do I you
Yeah.
get like
Yeah.
and then
What do I know?
what do I know? Like, hey, give people life advice. Um, like and there's one you say, oh, That guy gave me life advice. But anyways, I
Yeah.
told Ayo, my wife, and I was like,
Yeah.
I really want to do this thing, but man, again, what do I know? I was just like, if you're saying you want to talk to people and you enjoy talking to people, so drop your name. The worst case she'll say is that the slot is already taken.
Yeah.
Bro, I said, so 3 hours later, I was like, hey, Tulua, is that slot still available? Like, I would like to. I was like, oh my God, yes, you be. And it was just like, man, it was nice to know that, man. Okay, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, just be yourself when you're talking. So I was still playful when I was doing the talk, but it was like, it was just nice to start something. It's like, this is spilling over into something else. Like the opportunities to talk with people and just like share my own story. Like, and it's not, these are things that I've used for myself, and it worked for me. It may work for you, but give it a try. Like, try it out. And it was.
Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off, man.
No.
You see what he said? Just be yourself and be playful. That's what life is about. That's what life is about. Just be playful. You know, we grow up too fast, and we tend to forget even the people even Ogatinobu that we look at as an old man. He's probably still a kid at heart.
You get
You
like
know?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, like and you said it in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, when you were older, the older you get, the more less willing you are to try new things because it's like,
yeah,
man, I shall
you start to overthink. You start
thinking
to
like,
overanalyze
what am I?
everything.
Anything for
Don't,
this?
don't get me wrong. It has its place because as you get older, more responsibilities come on the table. You have a family now, but don't kill that child. Don't kill that child.
Exactly. Don't kill the child because as a child, I used to stand up and crack silly jokes and
fearless.
Like, but now like you look at the room and be like, I think of the joke in my head, and maybe I'll just tell two people beside me, and they will bust at the back. But it's also like, man, as you said, don't let that inner child inside you die because it's like, and I've started trying to do that. Like, I don't overthink things. Like, okay, I have something to say, I'll put out my work. When I don't have anything to say, but actually being very intentional of looking for people that really inspire me and share their stories. But no, man, I said, this is it. This is what the Waka so far is about, man. Just wanted to hear
it's amazing
how you go into art, t-shirts, sources God.
Sources God.
And just it's crazy that I've only met Izzy, like literally I can tell I've only met Izzy once.
One period.
One period of our lives for 1 week.
Yeah.
But when a church camp, but it was just like, man, I really like this guy and I like what he stands for. And those kind of people we root for each other on social media. And it's like, shout out social media for making the world a smaller place because we can actually root for each other across wherever we are. So, man, thank you, man. Thank you for jumping on.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on here. It's a pleasure to be doing this. Like I said before, I've been watching your stuff, and I think you're contributing greatly to not just Nigeria but to the world. Yeah, keep at it. Keep at it. You never know who one of these stories will change their life.
Man, is it? Thank you, and I will. I'll actually. I bet make we stay in touch. I beg.
Yes, please. Yeah, definitely.